Honourable members of the European Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, if we agree on the principle that the European Union's action in the field of defence research has an added value, as Professor Thoma just demonstrated, then three questions come to mind. And those are the three questions that have been posed to us. The first being, what should be the size of a European defence programme? What should be the scope of such a programme? And finally, how to include such a programme within a more comprehensive defence action plan. So, let us start with the first question. What should be the size of a future European defence programme, EDRP? I will be frank with you. There is no technical answer to that, and no expert will be ever able to give you this answer. There is only a political answer to a political question. What is the Union's level of ambition? What does the Union want to achieve, want to be able to achieve militarily? And you are the only ones that can answer this question. Nevertheless, we will provide you with some elements. Next slide, please. With regards to the global environment, let us remember a few figures. Under the third offset initiative, the US plans to spend around 64–67 billion euro per year in the next years. China's defence R&D is estimated at around 20 billion, and this is a conservative assumption. With regard to Russia, it's only 3.54 billion, but it has doubled within the 5 last years. In comparison, members of the European Defence Agency spent in 2013 only 7.5 billion euro on defence R&D and 2.1 billion on defence R&T. Therefore, with regard the commitments those countries, the members of the European Defence Agency, undertook at the last NATO summit in order to fulfil their commitment of 2% of the GDP and 20% of those defence expenditure, they would have to spend more than 74 billion euro per year. And if we scale that down to R&T, defence R&T, that means 1.2. So therefore, we have the maximum efforts of European countries, which is 2.1 billion euro per year, what they spend now, plus 1.2 billion per year, what they committed to do, and equals 3.3 billion. That gives us the upper range of what should be a union action in the field of defence research in order to stay at par, to be at the same level than the member states as a whole. On the other hand, the minimum size for a competitive defence research programme would be, at the lowest end, around 500 million euro per year, which is roughly what Germany and the UK spend. A European defence research programme under that level would hardly be worth it due to the financial barrier to overcome at the entry. So the choice is between those two limits, 3.3 billion and 500 million, and the choice is yours. Second question, what should be the scope of the EDRP? Normally we should have to wait until 2021, but 2021 might be too late. Taking into account that the technological race is a race against the clock and that Europe has already lost a lot of ground, acting within an existing and well-tested framework would be the most pragmatic way to act. Therefore, as a first step, for the first year to be possible to still modify, which are 2018-2020, an envelope should be dedicated to fundamental dual-use science and technology within the Horizon 2020, to support existing infrastructures and academic initiatives of specific interest to the defence community. This would require no change in the Horizon 2020's legal framework, just to make sure it keeps its promises. As a second step, for the years 2021-2028, so the next multi-annual financial framework, a full-fledged EDRP should focus on technological studies funded exclusively by the Union. The main objective of this program would be to reduce technological risk for Member States' procurement program. That has to be underscored, to reduce technological risks. Finally, co-funded programs could be launched with willing Member States in order to bridge the way between defence research and defence programme, and we will come on that point again. Precisely, third and last question. Next slide, please, sorry. How to include the EDRP within a comprehensive defence action plan. Next slide, please. I forgot to. Okay, it's a very difficult question to answer, but just let us scroll through the most important points. First point, it is essential to connect the EDRP with capability needs. As a matter of fact, defence research does not occur from a vacuum, does not come from the blue. There is something before defence research and there is something after defence research. What is before defence research is defence planning. And you have here the figure of the strategic path. It took us 48 strategic documents to analyze to give you, in a nutshell, these little figures. You have first to set your level of ambition, then what are the capability needs to gather in order to satisfy those ambitions. You have to then to make the apportion, which is a question essential in an alliance, and then, only then, comes the defence research question. So, this is why defence research is said to be capability driven. But at the same time, next slide please, the procurement process must take into account the technological push, which means to take into account, to scrutinise what are the technologies available on shelves. And this has taken an increasingly important place into the defence planning, because there is a new nexus between civilian research and defence research. 50 years ago, defence research was way ahead of civilian research. This is no more the case. So you have to weave the yarn of the capability needs with the weft of the technologies, of the technological push. Normally, this is what EDA, what the European Defence Agency should do. Next slide, please. The problem is that EDA, as it stands, will not be able to support a large program. Indeed, and there is two reasons for that. It's difficult to think that the European Defence Agency could set the orientation and pick up the best programs in the common interest of all under the de facto unanimity rule under which it has been functioning until now. EDA would also have to be properly staffed, which means recruiting people to manage a much bigger program. That would require an increase of the budget, and we all know that the EDA budget has been blocked for 5 years in a row. So the choice is clear. If the Union wants to utilise EDA, which is its natural tool, and which that we recommend to do, then the Union has to modify EDA's governance, which is absolutely feasible under existing rules, and to increase the size of EDA's operating budget in accordance to its task. If the Union does not want to do that, or is not capable to do that, then it has to consider other solutions, such an ad hoc joint undertaking or a Defence Research General Directorate under the authority of a Commissioner. Next slide. The second point is how to connect EDRP with armament programs. Remember, there is a before defence research, there is an after defence research. This could be done by co-financing some major projects with the Member States, by merging EDA with OCCAR. We know that this is an option that is strongly opposed, but that was the original plan of the funding father of the European Defence Agency. And if you have the curiosity to go through the minutes the treaty, of the Convention of Europe, you will see without difficulty that that was the original plan. And last but not least, by enabling the Union to acquire dual-use assets. Next slide. Third point, the programme must absolutely involve Member States. This is a crucial point. If this programme is to become a game changer, then we have to embark every stakeholder on board. First of all, Member States. This could be done first by investing in the most strategic sectors for those Member States and not third-level programmes. And secondly, by providing support to the most fragile links in defence research, namely the research technology organisations, SMEs, academia, and innovators of all sorts. Fourth point, next slide please. The programme must incentivise European industry to play the game. This means, first of all, addressing industry fears, mainly the question of the spread of intellectual property rights. This also means assuring industry leaders that the investment they consent, the heavy investment they consent, will be followed by sound armament programmes. In other words, that there will be a demand for the results of their research and that they will not make research for the sake of research. Finally, the Union must follow the strategic path, next slide please, systematically, and build the missing link, we see the missing link between the global strategy that will be laid out by the end of June by Mrs. Mogherini and a new capability development that is bound to follow. This will require, and it's absolutely vital, Europe to write down a defence sub-strategy, or you can call it a white paper or a white book, in order to set the Union's level of ambition. Next slide. In conclusion, a vigorous and immediate action in the field of defence research is a necessity if the Union wants to keep open the door towards its own strategic autonomy. Defence research is the seed that you will plant and that will produce fruits in 10 years' time, in 15 years' time. Viewed from NATO and the US, such a programme shall be most welcome because it is the best way for Europe to live up to its commitment to the Alliance. Viewed from the European Member States, it might be the last chance to preserve their freedom of action in a concrete and efficient way. The launch of this European defence programme in itself will be a rare moment of truth, what the ancient Greeks called a pragma, which means proving your words through action. And I would like to finish our presentation by quoting an American Constitution father, Patrick Henry, and its famous motto, "United we stand, divided we fall. Let us not split into faction, we must destroy that union upon which our existence hangs." Thank you very much for your attention.